it is very important that insulin needs to be preserved at the right temperature range, in a precise range what is required. And to maintain the efficacy of the insulin, we should not lose the efficacy because otherwise the dosage increases. Could you please elaborate on that more?
See, we need to understand that insulin is a protein. Now, protein, for example, if I have to tell in your layman terminology, egg is a protein. Egg in the liquid form is different, in a solid form is different. Absolutely. So insulin is a protein. Any protein is affected by temperatures and pressures. So any temperature, whether it is very low or very high, or any pressure which is very low or very high, is going to affect that protein. So what happens is its molecule changes when you get differences in temperature. So when the molecule changes, the effect also changes. Okay. So whenever you have temperature differences in insulin, you're likely to get different actions of that insulin. So what it is recommended by literature and various companies and various insulin manufacturers that insulin should be appropriately maintained between 2 to 8 degrees centigrade to give a good efficacy to control glucose. Now, it is very difficult. You can't maintain the stringent temperature unless you are maintaining the cold storage very well. And especially in the chemist shop, in the line where you are transporting it, especially when it's at home. So it's difficult to maintain the stringent temperature of 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. Normally, we recommend that you keep it in the fridge door. Now, you know that fridge is opened at least 8 to 10 times in a day. And every time you open the door, you are going to cause temperature fluctuations. So there are a lot of incidences where our patients don't get the appropriate effect of insulin because of temperature changes, power cuts, cutting down of storage facilities. There have been a lot of studies on temperature fluctuation and effects on glucose. And in fact, there's a study from Puducherry itself, which has shown that nearly 15% of efficacy of insulin comes down when you use a temperature deviated insulin. So whenever there has been fluctuation, you get a efficacy which is less by nearly 15%, 1.5. And this means that the patient is going to be out of control in spite of taking the recommended dosage of insulin. And there have been cases where patients have taken in a good delivery device. So they are on insulin pumps and they have a very sophisticated delivery device, but the insulin has been ineffective. So patients have still landed up with diabetic ketoacidosis and complications because the insulin has not been very effective because of these temperature fluctuations.